tifu tipping 140% to a pizza delivery driver. My buddy and I ordered a pizza, while half drunk, unaware that I already paid with my credit card. I walked to my door with $30 and gave him a 20% tip on top of that which had been paid online. The driver was about in his mid-30s, barely spoke English, and he was driving a beat-up car. He said thank you very enthusiastically, which made me realize in about 2 seconds that I just gave him double the money for the order, which he would obviously receive as a tip. I was about to admit my mistake and ask for the money back before I saw his reaction. While he was walking to his car, he had a smile from ear to ear, like he found the cure for covered or struck gold or something. He even did this little mini jump before he hopped into his car. I'm not exactly Bill Gates. I still have debts to pay, but I'm glad I fucked up to help someone who needed the money more than I did. Anyways, I felt pretty dumb after, but the joy I saw in that man made my week. Not a very interesting story, but it was pretty cool for me, as my dad moved to Canada from across the world with only a bike and a few $100. TL. Doctor paid double for a pizza by being drunk. No regrets. Okay, little to no regrets. As a former pizza delivery driver, I remember every one of you guys tipped way beyond your means due to alcohol. I carry the stories and my gratitude is immeasurable. Glenn, I'll never forget the kid with long blue hair, clearly tripping balls on acid, talking through his cat tipped me a 50. Enjoy freshman year, Jude. My best night ever delivering pizzas. I ended up with $250 in tips, mostly because of a large order of like 20 pizzas. I believe the order was around $75 and already prepaid on a credit card. Get to the door and it's a college age party and this dude is having a great night. Gave him the receipt and then he signed it and gave me back that plus $90 in cash. I was like, oh damn! Exclamation mark. Are you sure, dude? Exclamation mark. Question mark. He was like, yeah, that's for you, man. It would have been a good tip regardless, but I'm not sure if he ever realized how good. If this was like 10 years ago, I did this, haha. I ordered a bunch of pizzas for my party and I asked everyone for a $5 to pay, and I wasn't expecting literally everyone to pay up. I was too lazy to really count, but I remember the order was like $80 and I got at least $140 or so. I just gave it to the delivery driver and said keep it. My mom once drunkenly ordered beer to be delivered by a taxi. When said beer arrived, my mom handed my youngest brother, 11 at the time, her cash roll, which was her entire paycheck, and of course he answers the door and gives the driver the wad of cash in turn. Receiving the beer, he drives off and my brother bring the beer to my mom. She asks for the change, and well, you can imagine the shit show that happened afterwards. When I was a waiter in college, I was training a newbie almost 5 years older than me. A table gave us the $100 bill for a check of maybe $60 or so. I was closing out some tables with credit cards, so I asked my newbie to go to the bar, change out the $100 and hand back the change. The newbie changed out the $100 and gave all the cash back to the table. The table left with everything and didn't even leave a tip. It's probably on me to let a newbie take care of the cash, but him being much older than me at the time, I assumed he knew what change was. Since covered, my wife and I have been regularly tipping 50% or more. The service industry was hit hard and their service has helped keep us safe. I've found that putting out good karma usually finds its way back. I'm not very religious, but I believe if you do good, 99% of the time good will come to you. Just the way the world works. You don't have to be religious to believe that. If you try, be a good person, it gets noticed and people start responding in kind to the type of person you are. Being a pizza guy myself, believe me, the way people tip nowadays, you probably made his entire week. Guarantee that meant more to him than the smile even showed. Good on you, man. As an ex-delivery driver, he'll probably remember this for years. I still remember getting 30 over 3x my hourly rate at the time from a guy at Christmas delivering groceries, and that was 4 years ago. Stuff like that can really make your week, even month, in a job where you seldom get much thanks. Worked as a waitress. Had an old man sitting alone at a table during a completely dead lunch shift. His bill came to around $50. He paid by card. He walked out, and I went to close out his check and found out he had tipped in cash, a $50 bill. As a struggling college student at the time, it brought me to tears. I rushed out to the parking lot to thank him for his generosity. He said I put a what in there? ? I thought that was a $5 bill. He pulled out his wallet and grabbed a $5 and asked me to exchange it for the mistaken $50. I obliged his request. He'll never forget that terrible feeling. You did a good thing by letting him keep the extra $sign. I hope you also felt good about your situation. Though, I'm sure it was a bummer to think you'd been tipped so generously and then have it taken back. But you also fixed a mistake that could have been a really big deal for someone. Not everyone can afford to accidentally lose $50 or $45, especially old people. There's definitely a way to tell this story where you're the hero. Okay, but my husband and I try to do this a few times prior to the holidays. Order a cheap pizza and tip the driver way more than reasonable. It's nice to know you maybe just made someone's day. That said, 25% with a $5 minimum is my rule on pizza delivery tips. I live in a pretty spread out area, and the store is maybe a mile from my house. I did that about 20 years ago. I went to an IHOP at around closing time and got a black coffee. Still had a few hours drive. On my way home from visiting family, the lady that helped me was super nice, so I gave her a $10 and told her to keep the change. She was so happy and asked, "Are you sure?" And I said of course. It was only $10. No big deal, and I left. As I was walking outside, contemplating why she was so happy, it dawned on me. I gave her a $100. I looked in my wallet really quick and see the only $10 bill I had was still there. I almost started to panic. $100 to me back then was the difference between eating and not eating. Anyways, for a second I thought of going back in and explain the mix up, but immediately shot that down. How big of a world that make me? Nope. I couldn't even think of doing that to that lady. So I enjoyed my $100 black coffee and ate ramen and knockoff mac and cheese for the next month. Then 2 decades later I can remember how happy she was. Totally worth $100. Thanks for not changing your tip. I delivered food after leaving a rough relationship and barely had any money to feed myself. A decent tip meant I could afford my gas that month, buy pain medication, or afford a new toothbrush. It sometimes was the only thing that helped me get through the rough patches. Your kindness can truly be life-changing in more ways than you will ever know, depending on what that delivery driver might be going through. Keep letting your unintentional but meaningful kindness continue. We need more people like you, darling. I'm a pizza delivery driver. I regularly have days where I get stiffed on tips for almost 50% of my deliveries. I also have great days where people are very generous, taking excellent care of us when we are out here risking car accidents, and COVID to bring you food is always appreciated. Yep, I think on this PST Tuesday I made all of $12 on tips for about 10 delivers, one of which was a $10 tip from one person. I made more in my mileage than I did in tips, but I made $160 on Friday from all the Halloween parties people were having at work. It really just depends on your luck for the day. As a delivery driver, I wish people knew the effect better than average tips have on orders. Even if it's 25-30%, it's better than the usual $2 or $3. Most people feel we don't do anything, which granted, it is a very easy job, but our car maintenance is all on us. If we get in a wreck at our job, regardless of how it was at far alt, we are suspended without pay for a week, and our job takes zero responsibility for damages to our cars or physical being. Those two factors mean I need money. It's discouraging working hours on end for less than minimum wage some days. As our wages change to about $4 an hour while on road. So I rely almost entirely on my tips to survive. Kindness can really go a long way. A good tip has sometimes changed my entire mood for that shift. I overtipped a pizza guy on purpose years back. I was hanging out with a buddy on my 17th birthday, playing video games, drinking sodas, chilling. We decided we wanted some pizza at 9:30 p.m. My birthday is in the tail end of December. We got 2 large pepperoni pizzas and 2 tortas of cola at 10:15. During a heavy snowfall, while there was already 3 inches of snow on the ground. The delivery guy was this tiny old man. He must have been in his late 60s. He was a champ, so I gave him $115. He got a $75 tip. As a cute 18-year-old girl I delivered to a bachelor pool party. I brought in the stacks of pizza and had to walk through the pool area to the back where the host and table for the pizzas. The host paid me in cash for the pizzas plus a generous tip. As I walked back through the sea of around 30 males I was handed cash for the pizzas. I explained that they had been paid for, but was told to keep it for the tip. It was like a testosterone competition as they all pulled out their wallets to hand me their pizza money share. I walked out with a wad of $20s and all I had to do was smile and say thank you. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.